public delegations, we're sure that's 0.
Well, it's just Ray.
With that in minutes, do you all have the minutes?
Yes, I've reviewed it. I have a couple of minor comments, if I could.
Go ahead.
Yes.
So, and I apologize for not getting to you earlier, Fran. Under 3A, the memo submitted to the IWA.
Wait a minute. Yes.
So I know Ron asked for some clarification of what the subject of that memo was and how it related to this discussion. So I would suggest after concerning, in between concerning and review area, if we just added in proposed text change.
Where are you? Excuse me, tell me where you are on that page. Is it a paragraph that talks about Ron?
No, it's just new business. A, where it says memo submitted to IWA.
You're talking about Carlson submitted? Wait a minute.
No, above that.
I don't know where.
New business A.
Okay, Ms. Heller received an email. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
What paragraph?
But yes, it's the sentence right before that, which says memo submitted to IWA concerning review area.
Okay, say that again, because the beginning didn't come clear.
Yeah, memo submitted to IWA concerning review area. Is everyone else in, or do I have the wrong?
I got it.
You got it.
Okay, so between concerning and review area, if we could add the words proposed text change to upland review area. Because that's what we were dealing with, the 100 feet to 500 feet.
Okay, so you want memo submitted to IWA concerning proposed text change to upland review area.
Correct.
Okay, so it was just the heading is all you wanted. Okay.
Yes, and then later, it's actually the last paragraph in that section
Okay.
where it says Mr. Beeman added another 20 items.
Okay.
I didn't personally add them, so what I'd like to say is Mr. Beeman indicated another 20 items had been added to the data package, because that was stuff that was brought in by the public and entered into the data package.
Okay, let me make sure I have it. Mr. Beeman indicated another 20 items had been added to the data package.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's it?
That's all I had.
Okay.
Are there any other changes? Hearing none. All in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Wait a minute. Who made the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Penny? Okay.
Penny, and I'll second it.
Who is,
Mark.
oh, Mark? Okay. Okay, as amended.
And I'm abstaining because I was not in attendance.
Okay,
And I will also abstain since I wasn't in attendance.
okay,
I wasn't at the last one either.
okay.
So let's hold up hands. Who's voting aye?
Okay.
4-0.
And 3 abstentions.
3 abstentions.
Okay. All set.
May I ask one thing before we proceed? I asked that an item be placed on the agenda, which I guess didn't get there, on the RBV sampling for this year. Can we add that to the agenda?
Certainly.
Where do you want it added? New business, old business, reports?
It's probably old business because was an ongoing item, right, for years with this commission, so.
Okay, and it was, we'll call it E, and then what did you want to?
RBV
Yeah.
sampling.
Okay. All right.
And next item on the, we're moving into new business, a review of updates to the open space plan land for the POCD. The only thing, I have had discussions with Gary about this for the last 2 or 3 months. I'm aware of a public meeting sometime in November to hear everybody's comments. I've met with Gary several times, and we had a discussion on updating the list of 65 properties, and in particular on those properties, talking about, Ron, I think you were interested in this, how do we want to change the rating for properties that are in a watershed of interest upstream of a well? Gary talked about that, and I asked him, what do you think we should do about that? And we ended up saying, let's try this. Emphasize the importance of land that's in the watershed of interest, that's upstream of the well. And then if it's discharging, that land is directly over the aquifer, it's worth more than one that's not directly over the aquifer. And anyway, if it's south of the well, for the public supply, it's not relevant to our discussion. Then we talked about how can we grade that. And we ended up deciding, at least our suggestion was, and we talked about this several months ago, to have land that's above the well, above the public well, in a watershed of interest. If it discharges into it, we would change the value from 5 to 10 points. If it's above the well but not directly discharged into the aquifer, it would be 5 points. So this focuses in on those most sensitive properties. And Gary's going to take that and move that forward to the Planning Commission and see how they like it.
Okay, one comment.
Certainly.
The above and below the well on a macro scale, on a big scale, is proper because we all know it runs from inland to the ocean.
Right.
But in a micro scale, right around the well, you get the cone of depression. So you can actually be south of the well and it'll run into the water or
Yes.
into the well.
Yep.
That's true. But it was,
But it's
that was,
much smaller.
that was at such a scale that we didn't.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know how you'd pick it up.
Well, no, and so it's not. It's small potato. It's just so we.
Yeah, okay.
What might that be, 100 feet or so?
It depends on the well. How much water you're pumping is what determines how that curve goes.
Right.
If you got a really big, large suction well, you're going to get a pretty good sized cone. Remember, that's what drove the quote unquote wellhead protection zone thing.
Right.
But this was aimed at the big parcels north of it. That's
Right. No, understood. It's how to capture that.
anyway. That's it's in for the discussion.
One other point we might want to make, we already did this with the selectmen, is to my knowledge, there's been no action on the spill mitigation system that we suggested be installed over exit 74. So I know we'd written a letter to Board of Selectmen, and I believe they had sent something along the same lines to the state of Connecticut DOT. But that would be a worthwhile thing to put in our POCD about suggesting a spill mitigation system on exit 74 since it bisects the aquifer protection area.
I could take that. Didn't you write that letter? Did-
I didn't. I think we had some version. Penny, did you write a, your audio's off? Penny, had you written a letter? Do you remember?
Yeah, I wrote a letter long ago, and that went to Art, and Art, it went to Gary or whatever, and I mean, this is all
2 years ago.
last year.
Why don't we follow?
For that. Now, they did put in a storm drain runoff basin by the highway.
Yeah, but that's not segregating it.
Not the whole thing. No, I hear you.
I will get together with Gary and find out the status of that.
Okay.
That might be a question to ask Roseanne as well, since she was on the Board of Selectmen and she would have firsthand knowledge as to whether or not that letter was ever sent out to the Department of Transportation and or Connecticut Department of Health.
Well, Gary should know that.
He
I will
should.
check. Yeah, I will check in with him on that. If there are no other questions, let's switch over to old business, the solar farm, Waterford.
Yes, I can report on that. And Fran, be assured I'll send you my my notes.
Okay.
Because this gets confusing.
I think so.
I did participate in the Connecticut Siting Council remote evidentiary hearing on August 25th with the Save the River, Save the Hills team regarding the proposed solar power development in Waterford. I answered some questions from council members and the developer's attorney with respect to environmental matters. Also receiving questions were Deb Mojadon of Save the River, Save the Hills, and our engineering consultant, Steve Trinkus, who got the majority of the questions.
Okay, well, okay, I'm sorry. I don't understand who enough to help you.
Public comments on this project will continue to be accepted by the council until September 24th.
Sounds like Mark wants me to go down.
Our attorney and the team will prepare a final brief for the council prior to the deadline. The council will prepare its draft findings of fact, opinion, decision, and order, and release it on October 8th. Now, there's something else on this council schedule that I don't fully understand, and I'll need to ask our attorney about it. There's listed on a schedule a further 90-day extension for the deadline for the decision per the governor's executive order number 7M. I'm not sure whether or not this will delay the date of decision and it will be used by the council. I don't know if it'll be used or not. At any rate, a decision should be forthcoming this fall. By moving from intervener to party status, Save the River, Save the Hills could elect to challenge the council's decision in state court should it be unfavorable, but this is yet to be decided upon. Now, one other matter. Between the Nyack River Watershed Committee and the Millstone Environmental Lab, I have enough hobo tidbit long-term water temperature monitors, as well as associated equipment such as anchors and flagging, tape, etc., to place these monitors into Oil Mill and Stony Brooks and their tributaries to look for any changes in stream water temperature that would result from the solar project should it be built. I still need to consult with Deb Morjadon to get these instruments out into the waterways, as she's gotten landowner permissions to do this for this purpose. We did ask the council that if they do approve the development, they require the developers to monitor both water temperature and turbidity and stormwater discharges. But whether or not the council will require this or not won't be known until their decision is final. And that's all I have to say about this.
Don, I have a question for you. What is the maximum temperature change allowed?
There is no, in fact, that question was pointedly asked to me by the developer's attorney, there are no state regulations on water temperature and stormwater,
Okay.
which is a problem, because I don't think it was ever anticipated that you would have, these things are almost like point discharges, like a power plant. And I don't think it was ever anticipated that they would have impacts, because most of them, if you're in an area like we are here in a wooded area, they're going to be discharged to small streams. And these are 2 brook trout streams, which are pretty rare in the state of Connecticut and coastal areas. And, you know, it doesn't take too much to change the temperature of the stream to unfavorable for trout. And that's one of our concerns. And of course, the other concerns are not necessarily temperature, but nutrients and turbidity being carried by all mill and Stony Brooks down into the Niantic River, of course, which is one of our concerns here in the town of East Lyme.
I got to listen to this.
Okay. If we needed some information on brook temperature, that Hubbard Brook project in New Hampshire would have that data. I used that many years ago to find out what temperature we couldn't exceed in Latimer's Brook, in fact.
Well, the state of Connecticut, Mike Buchanan and others, there's a whole list of authors have published a scientific paper on suitability of Connecticut streams for trout, and they have a very precise temperature. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but they can classify streams on that basis. And you can go to Connecticut Deep website and look for that. Let's look for cold water stream, and you'll get a very nice, they have a very nice section of their website devoted to that.
Yeah, I'm sure that exists. I'm just giving you some ancient history, I think. Don, follow on with the Patagonia Lake Association.
Okay, I don't really have anything else to update, although I will say that tonight, this very night, our president and another officer are going to the Rogers Lake Association meeting, try to get an idea how a little bit larger organization runs their affairs, as we're trying to get more off the ground here with ours. We did have discussed trying to raise money for aquatic weed control, try to take advantage of the aquatic invasive species money that the state of Connecticut is administering. All boat owners have been assessed an additional $5 per year. The monies are to go into aquatic invasive species funding. They expect to have $350,000 plus money to give out as grants. I'm not quite sure what all the rules are on getting a grant. There may be we may need to have matching funds, but I did see on the last Fishery Advisory Council meeting notes that 501c3 organizations would be held in high regard in getting the money. And that's one thing that we have successfully done at Patagonia Lake. We've obtained a 501c3 certification as a nonprofit organization. So.
Okay, thank you. Move to C, work on town trails. I can speak, let's call that town trail, the Goodwin Trail. I can speak to that. Asked to have some mowing done on the 4-acre field that we're trying to restore on the Darrell Pond property. I think with a little bit of luck, that'll be done in a couple of weeks. Okay. That's the field where we got rid of all the autumn olive and you're trying to get the grass to come back again.
Is the town doing that, or did we hire a contractor? Or?
No, the town is, I asked the town to do it. Okay.
Okay.
I went in to see,
Are they just mowing?
yes, yes. And if we do that 5 years in a row, we'll have a pretty good pasture there. I can say that the trail's getting very heavy use.
Yeah, it is.
Very heavy use. That takes care of what's going currently on that trail. Penny, what about the sustainability?
Okay, as of today, I have good news, finally. I want to just interject, though. The reason I had to leave a few minutes ago is Roseanne called in, and she is having trouble getting into Zoom, but it should be mentioned in the minutes that she attempted to join the meeting and somehow failed. So she said she was going to call me tomorrow and find out what happened.
Why doesn't she just call in?
Well, she could call in. She said she was going to try. I think she sounded kind of frustrated. I didn't want to push. So, I don't know. I suppose I called her back and she said, I'll keep trying and I'll call you tomorrow. In reference to the sustainability program, McDonald sent me email today, and he said that as of the fall, which I hope is now, he's going to get focused on the Bikeway project. I'm just going to read his email. The chief of police asked him to send the chief the initial plan that we put together, and to get his thoughts on it. The main issue with the police is whether we can include Riverside Drive, where the near accident was, that was the big issue with traffic safety, whether we could mark that. At the very least, we'd like to mark it with, and I know it's standard paint icon that says share the road. I had hoped that we would be able to be a little more formal about having a Bikeway sign, but at least share the road might help, baby steps forward. So he'd like to have a quote, share the road campaign, and get the signage put up on the roads that we deem serve the community best. And basically the only thing we're talking about is a loop that's going to do all 3 historic houses, and then a loop that goes down to Black Point around to McCook Point Park and makes a loop there. So it's like a 7-mile loop and about a just under 10-mile loop that's in town. We'd like to have something at the north end of town, but I can't figure out a route that stays off state roads. But those of you that live in the north end of town, if you've got any great ideas, we can certainly.
You can go through the Park Road. You can go through the Nahanic Forest Road, Grassy Hill.
But that would require the state to be involved. We're trying to keep this just in the town, because I know, and I think Don's already had issues with the state. They take years to put a sign up. So I'm trying not to get into a do loop with them. I did ask Harvey and Laura, the other part of the sustainability team, such as we are, if you had any other pet projects. There's money waiting. I got an email from Jessica Leclerc, who's kind of the head. She works out of New Haven. She seems to be in charge of the districts, and I'm going to I haven't set up a date yet to call her to see about getting the grants going, but I can't get a grant going until the town is on board. I don't want to do an end run around them, but there is money to be had, is what I've been told.
Penny, as part of the sustainability program, we have some connections with a group that's doing pollinator pathways, and I think that's part of sustainability. Is that right?
Yes, it can be.
All right. Well, we may have something coming up on that in the future.
I'm told all you have to do is put together a plan. It's got to be principally in the town that you represent, and you can also bring in other towns. In fact, if it's a multi-town thing, they like that, but that means you have to get the other towns in on it. And that's why I'm trying to avoid state roads, state forests, just stay in town, which is difficult. But if it's on town property, mostly, or at least the town is involved, and it's on public, some kind of public property. It can't be on private property. And you've got a plan of, this is what we want to do and this is why. That's all you have to write. It's the easiest grant process I ever heard of. And then they take it from there. And then you have to, as I explained before, you have to make some attempt to have group fundraising through their website. But if you get 5 people donating any amount of money, that's the minimum. And then you can apply for the rest of it.
Okay.
So, but I've yet to get this process going, so I'm astounded that it's that open-ended.
So Penny, what kind of deadline is there for these?
There's no deadline, it's just a rolling thing. The deadline is when they run out of money, but apparently that's not happening. As I say, I want to talk to Jessica to see whether, when I talk to the staff person who's actually takes the grants, and I don't remember his name, I'm sorry, he basically was practically saying, just send anything in. That was last April.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, everything's been on shutdown. I'm not sure, I feel so out of it. I'm not sure what's happened in the last 6 months, 5 months.
Okay,
We have a list or an outline, kind of at a high level, of what it is we're doing for sustainability.
Right now, we're not doing anything. We submitted our sustainability program, report to give us the bronze certification, and that was basically a laundry list of everything the town had already done.
Right, that's historical, but don't we?
Yeah.
I thought we had a list.
I can send that to you if you didn't get it.
Well, does it include the list of things that we have considered and are thinking about doing?
Yes and no. There's a couple of indications of things that we fell short on that we'd like to continue. It's sort of in the text. And then in the review process, that we had 5 reviewers for our certification. They gave numerous recommendations of what, I think there were 25 recommendations that they suggested that we do. So I can send you that too. It's a wish list. It's just a wish list. Some of the things I
Good.
couldn't imagine we'd ever get done, but
Well, did you guys go through and prioritize it?
no.
We have a
No.
really,
Well, no, don't forget, by the time we were working on the walk audit and we were working on the bikes, I mean, that was actually, we picked our priority 1.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're
priority
working on it.
And that's right, Laura, I wanted to bring that up. And I don't think you know yet, because I asked you, and I know the school semester is very early and it's not normal. But it's the pedestrian part of this. I mean, I sort of championed the bikeway, but there's a pedestrian side of it too. And if your students are able to do the out of classroom stuff.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I did have a kid. I actually had a kid kind of doing an independent study with me, and he started creating like using apps to actually do the surveys on your phone. It would collect the data for us. And we had started taking it for a test drive when we all got sent home. Problem is right now, like I can't even take my kids to Latimer now. So I got denied to do that because it's a lockdown on field trips, and since it's considered off grounds, even though it's during the block, I can't do it yet. So
I would have thought it would be good to get the kids out of classroom, but guess not.
yeah, so I'm getting creative, let me tell you. But part of this creativity is taking like 14, 15 hours a day. So
Yeah.
everything's being recreated right now. So, and we can't run labs and stuff like that. So honestly, it's too early in the year for me ever to even ask if I can have my kids even doing this on their own. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna have to almost write it like a proposal, because it's the only way this is gonna fly, because everybody's gonna, you know, what used to would have been, I'm just having my kids do this, and that would have been now I'm gonna have to write something. Because it's gonna have to be approved.
Okay,
So it's just gonna time delay it.
yeah. The
Penny,
only
we-
other thing is adding to, I know we have a hiking trail map that's on the website. And whether we could do an add to that for a hike, more pedestrian friendly places to walk and more bikeway friendly places to bike. So that we're sort of advertising that we're bike friendly, which I'm not sure we are, but let's pretend we are.
Okay, does that cover the waterfront for you, Penny?
I'm sorry, say again?
That take care of your
Yep.
sustainability?
Yep.
Reports and communications, let me,
RBV sampling.
oh,
Right, yeah.
yes.
Okay, I'll just be brief. I think Penny knows this already anyway. I was forwarded an email that was sent out by Megan Lally of Connecticut Deep regarding RBV sampling this fall. And that is the aquatic insects and other aquatic invertebrate sampling that we use to grade how well the streams are, depending on what kind of types of insects and other organisms we collect. Due to COVID-19, there will be no more there will be no training sessions scheduled this year. So she indicated that only experienced samplers should be involved in the sampling. And furthermore, expectations are for social distancing and small parties to be involved with the sampling. One issue, of course, right now is the low flow in most Connecticut streams due to the drought or near drought conditions. So it'll only be worth going out if we get more precipitation and stream flows pick up later this fall. So we'll keep an eye on that. And if Penny and other people are willing to go out with me, I will be happy to go out again.
Yeah, we'll just have to watch. Is Latimer so low that it can't be sampled?
Latimer's, I don't know about upstream, but I mean, I just did a precipitation-related sampling from the Connecticut Watershed Committee at the dam, and the water was considerably below the crest of the dam, so that means flow is very, very low.
Yeah, we were over at Spring Rock, 4 Mile River. Didn't take that close a look. There was water, but at the time I wasn't really paying attention to levels, so we'll have to go over there and take a second look.
By the way, the USGS has reinstituted the flow gauge in Latimer Brook, which is good, so you can get real-time information on flow. All you got to do is log in, you can look. So you have an idea. If you know what the stream is low, and you can go right and look and see what the actual CFS is. So then if CFS picks up, you can figure out,
Well, technically we have until the end of November to finish the RBV sampling. And there's a Cranberry Brook too, if we wanted to try to do the Kalal farm like we did last year.
Right.
Ask Tom to keep an eye on it. He could be our spy to let us know what the levels are.
Guys, just a question. If flow comes back, say you start getting some storms coming through, you can't just go sample because the flow's up. Doesn't it take a week or two for the bugs to come back?
No, they're either there or they're not, Ron. We just need enough flow to get the net to do it properly.
Oh, I hear you. Okay.
I mean, they're not going to appear out of nowhere. I mean,
No, well, that's what I was, well, their life cycle's pretty quick.
Some of those things stay in there quite a bit. This is an issue, of course. I mean, drought could obviously have an impact on populations. And I'm sure that's another thing Deep would like to know. If we have these sustained droughts every year, I mean, these populations could really some of them could be in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Does that complete your report, Don?
Yes, thank you, Art.
Very, sorry, I missed that. Reports and communications. Regarding communications, I met, I think it was about a month ago, with a fellow named Ted Koch, who's on the Inland Wetlands Committee. We had a good hour talk about our water report, about the open space report, about how we look at things. I think it was a very useful exchange of information and ideas. And they're fully aware now of the data that we've developed over the years. I can, let's switch now to the Agricultural Business Subcommittee. Mark?
Yep. I think I forgot to mention anything to Penny in the August meeting. I wasn't there, but I sent a message. And we had a farm day at the Samuel Smith House on July 19th. It was well attended. We had 75 people there. And then the other thing is the Giving Garden is getting another piece of land, it looks like. I can't say where just yet, but it looks like we've got something in the works. And it will be 2 acres that for our use for the Giving Garden. That's where we give food to the needy through the Shoreline Food Pantry, which is established at the Episcopal Church in Niantic. And we've picked a lot of produce over the summer, and we hope to be involved with a bigger piece of land next year. Currently, we're at the Samuel Smith House farmstead. Penny, as part of your sustainability stuff, would something like a Giving Garden?
Yeah, that's prime programs. They love that stuff.
All right, so I'm thinking we got 2 things on that. Number 1 is the Giving Garden, and number 2 is the pollinator pathways for butterflies and birds and what have you. And it looks like that's a separate.
Where would the pathways be?
That's a separate group, but they want to work in concert with us, at least on this project.
So physically, they would be at Sam Smith House, or?
Well, at another location, which I can't say right now because it's still in discussions, but
Okay.
in a month and a half.
This new location?
Yep. And they would take up a chunk of land.
Yeah, I'll when I talk to Jessica LeClaire, I'll mention that and make sure I've got the right story here. But I'm
Yep.
Almost 100% positive that these are right mainline stuff.
Yep, it's actually a 4-acre parcel that we're looking at, and it's 4 acres is way too much for us to grow vegetables on with volunteers, so pollinator pathway people fit in nicely with that. So I think that's it for agriculture. We're planning for next year. Who knows what's going to happen with any outdoor or any meetings. But we're going to try to do some ag viability grants, not this year, but for next year, which we were successful with in the past. Oh, and it looks like Scotty's Farm Market is out of business, probably for good. The place is going to be sold. Oh, and another thing, my understanding is that there's some dispute over, maybe Don, you might know something on this. There may be some dispute on the Niantic River waterway. I think Waterford is thinking they control more land than more mooring space than they do, and they're coming towards East Lyme. It depends on what boundary you believe in, whether it was the federal boundary, which is in force now, and it sounds like, from what I've been able to gather, Waterford is looking at an older boundary from the 1800s. Has anyone? I've just heard a little bit about it, but it looks like it's brewing into something.
I've heard nothing, but that's something I'll certainly check on.
All right. So that's all I got.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Chairman's report. This month I got a real good report that I want to get to everybody's hands. It's titled Forest Subgroup Draft Report for 2020. Put out, sponsored, I think, by Deep. They had a 12-member body of people from the Yale Forestry, Connecticut Forest and Park, Nature Conservancy. They put out an excellent report. They talk about the current state of forestry in Connecticut, the kind of trees, the number we have. They have an excellent discussion on carbon sequestration, what trees are the most viable from that point of view, how much, it's just an excellent report, and I want to get this into everybody's hands this month because it's going to give us a whole new dimension regarding more scientific look-see at the forest.
Just
Okay.
tell us where it is on the DEP website. We can all find it.
Yeah, I've got to go back and look at that thing, Penny, and then we'll get it out to everybody so they can download it. Anyway, that's the primary information that I want to bring to your attention. This is
Art, if you just email us the title, we can Google it and we'll get the
Oh,
link to the DEP
I
website.
have to go back on my computer and see where I downloaded this thing. Okay. Yeah, I'm very, believe it or not, I did that all by myself. That's amazing. And I ran out of paper halfway through and stopped it, loaded in, and I mean, this is 50 pages of success. But anyway, it's an excellent report, and we can have a really good discussion about the forestry, particularly carbon sequestration, because that's going to be a coming area. When you get through reading this report, you'll see it. Ex officio is not here, and I think
She regrets that she couldn't join us.
Right, so we can end. How do we end the meeting, Penny?
Just adjourn, and I will turn you off.
Okay, well, we'll get.
Oh, we got to vote.
We
Yeah,
have
you have to vote.
somebody make a motion.
I move that we adjourn the meeting at 7:46.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So be it.
Okay, I'll turn you all off. Nice to talk to everyone.
Good night,
It was
Penny.
nice to
Oh,
see you
is the
guys.
next meeting going to be Zoom?
What?
Are we Zooming the next meeting?
Yes, as far
Okay.
as
I guess so.
Honestly, I would count on it at this point.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we can't meet outside anymore, but it'd be nice if someday the town hall opened up, but we'll have to see when that's gonna happen.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna shut you guys off.
All right, adios.
Later.
Good night.
Meeting